Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video. I'm going to be doing another kind of end of the year video. This time it's going to be one focusing on Funko Pops. It's going to be my top 8 favorite Funko Pops of the year. Going to be ranking them from my least favorite of the top 8 to my favorite of the top 8. So there's been a lot of really nice pops that have come out this year. Last year was the first year that I actually hardcore collected pops. This year I did it just as much, really. I was collecting quite a bit. My fiance was the one that kind of got me hooked on Funko Pops, and they're really great. I love their character selection, and they're really fun in general, having so many different figures and characters, and the variety of the movies and TV shows and pop culture items that are referenced throughout their products is quite astounding. There's no other company like it that has this much range of IPs, which is very cool. So this is the bulk of my collection. This is the centerpiece of my Funko Pop collection. However, this is not my only Funko Pops. I have turned this entire thing into Disney right now, though. Disney used to always be a presence on this in this collection right here. However, it was never the sole presence of it. However, I've received so much Disney stuff that now I can actually dedicate this entire thing to Disney. And then I have another shelf that's just dedicated to Marvel villains. And then in my actual collection room, that's when I have the other portions of my pops kind of spread out between various kind of sections of the collection. So so there's a lot of great pops this year. As you can see, kind of my focus with the first 3 rows on the bottom here all being Disney villains. I'm a big Disney villain fan, and you will see that represented on this list. However, they're certainly not the only ones that comprise the list, but they do have kind of the largest presence on the list from any kind of one type of a movie or group, as you would say. So let's get into it. Let's get into my ranking here of my top 8 favorite Funko Pops of 2019. In 8th place, I'm going to put from the Dark Crystal series, the Heretic and the Wanderer from the Dark Crystal Netflix TV show. So this was just a really nice 2-pack. I wanted some representation of Dark Crystal within this countdown for sure, just because I really love the pops from Dark Crystal. And I had trouble picking, kind of which one would be like my favorite, or which one did I think was the best out of all of them. And I decided to go with this 2-pack because of the very unique sculpts that both of these figures had. I wouldn't necessarily say that these are my favorite Dark Crystal pops, but it's more of a character issue. I like these characters in the show, but they're just kind of fun characters. They're not super important ones, and therefore, I like Deet and other characters like that a bit more, so I enjoy the pops a bit more. However, when I'm just talking about what I thought was the best kind of pop or pop set from the Dark Crystal, this would probably be it, just when you're looking straight at the figures, because the figures are overall really nice. They have very unique designs, especially this character with the 4 arms and 2 legs and everything. Very unique design, wonderful detail in the back. Overall, just a really nice one as a whole. Same thing with the Skeksis. Great design and detail throughout. And I like the kind of shading of the paint at the bottom of the robes. It's just, there's a lot of detail being put into it. So overall, really like this pack, and definitely deserving it as part of this list. In 7th place, we have Jasmine from the live-action Aladdin film. This is actually a phenomenal pop. It really is. I think that there's a lot of great detail on the figure. In the kind of torso area, you have a lot of sculpted detail. In the sandals, a lot of sculpted detail. And in the crown, there's a lot of sculpted detail. It looks great. The paint colors that they use are really nice. You got a nice bright gold as well as metallic light blue, especially in the crown and on the waist section. You have a nice bright, very kind of deep blue throughout the entire costume. And then she even has translucent almost like a cape section piece that hangs down from her arms, which looks great. And then one of my favorite things about this figure is the fact that she has tiny little feet, and she's not even standing next to each other. She's got her legs one leg is further out than the other, and she is incredibly stable. She stands up perfectly fine by herself, and that's just really unique. A lot of times with pops, even pops that look like they should be stable, they have an issue standing. So to get one that doesn't look like it should be able to stand, and for it to stand just perfectly, and perfectly for I've had this pop for over 6 months now, and it's not like it's warped or started to bend or anything like that. It's still just as stable as it was when I got her out of the package the first time ever. So considering that that's the case, I'm very impressed with this pop, and just definitely deserves a spot in this ranking, because it's quite impressive overall. Taking that sixth spot, we have Scar. This is the kind of somewhat of a movie moment. It's more of a deluxe pop is what they call it, although it's like a small version of a movie moment. But this is Scar during his famous song "Be Prepared," with the ground cracking and the smoke coming out. Really cool. I do love this pop. I missed out on all the original Disney villain pops. They came out when I was not collecting pops, and therefore I never got them. And they've shot up in price. However, Funko is hard at work at trying to make those pops available again, but just kind of different versions of the pops. And this is a great representation of that, giving us a Scar figure kind of with a more dynamic base and allowing them to, re-release Scar. So I'm really happy with that. I think that the whole pop itself is really cool. It's a mini movie moment, which I think is awesome and looks great. I think that more deluxe pops like this should come available. I know GameStop has a lot of DC ones like this, but this is the only one that I can think of that's not DC. I think that they should do more of these types because they're really cool and they create a nice effect, but they're not huge like the movie moments are. So overall, it's great. As you can see, there's a chase version, and I do have that as well, which is awesome. Really a nice set to have. Next up, we have Mysterio from Spider-Man Far From Home. I think that this is a really wonderful pop. It would have been very easy for them just to make a kind of standard Mysterio just kind of standing there. However, they went a little above and beyond. They have him, kind of floating with smoke at the base. They have him projecting his kind of almost Doctor Strange-like symbols, and then he has his cape flowing from the back, looking really cool. They could have also just given you a circular head, that's just white and had maybe a swirl pattern just with paint, and instead they actually sculpted a ball of smoke and then sculpted a translucent dome to go over that ball of smoke, giving it a really nice dimension to that head sculpt and really going above and beyond with this figure. And any figure that goes above and beyond is the type of figure that deserves to be on this list. This one is no exception and therefore absolutely deserves to be on the list. Next up, we have a pop that I wanted a whole lot. When it was first shown, I was super excited for it, being that it was really the only figure or any piece of merchandise of the Stonekeeper, aka Red Skull in Infinity War. When this went on pre-order, or not on pre-order, but when it went on sale on the Funko shop, I was on vacation. However, I made sure that I was up in time for it. I went to purchase him. And while he was in my cart, he sold out though, and I was never able to get him. He shot up on price on eBay, and I was always really bummed out not being able to have this pop. I continued to watch it to see if it would ever go down in price, and it just never did. But I was not the one who actually decided to purchase it at a higher price. It was actually my fiance that purchased this for me. This was a birthday gift from her, and was incredibly excited to get it. Basically one of my kind of grail pops that I've always wanted, missed out on, and I was so close to getting it too, and now I'm finally able to get it, so I'm super grateful for her for actually picking this one up for me, and it's a fantastic pop. Really glad to have it in my collection, and it kind of completes my my Marvel villains collection, my MCU villain collection, so absolutely love this pop, and incredibly happy to finally have it. Alright, in third place we have the Maleficent Dragon box lunch exclusive pop. This one came out quite recently actually, and I'm very happy to have it. So this is kind of an altered version of the Maleficent Dragon that came out in the exclusive box from Disney a few years ago. It was part of their Halloween box. This was the pop that was in it. This is a redesigned version of that that's spitting fire and is on a fire base. So it's just kind of that pop, but a little more amplified. And I really do like the fact that Pop does that. If they want to re-release a pop, they always do something kind of different with it in order to re-release it, which is very nice. This is an awesome pop, I must say. The original version I actually don't have. However, my fiance has it, and I've been very excited for the two of us to move in together so I could have that pop, kind of when we merge our collections, to kind of have that with all the Disney villains that I have. However, until that happens, I do have this great substitute, and this version's very cool. The whole thing glows in the dark, or at least all the fire bits and the eyes, they glow in the dark, which is always really fun. I enjoy glow in the dark pops. They're really quite neat, and this one works very well, especially since there's so much surface area that is glow in the dark. Usually with glow in the dark pops, it's certain parts of the pop that are glow in the dark. It's not often that you have so much that glows in the dark, and therefore this thing just shines really bright every night when I turn off all my lights. This is the one that you can see in the dark, which is very cool. Great pop, really quite a nice kind of centerpiece pop, I'd almost say. It's huge, and it is super eye-catching. And taking second place, we have the aliens from The Simpsons. This was a set that I really caught my eye when it was first shown. I do enjoy The Simpsons. These are kind of my favorite characters from The Simpsons. And when this was released, I decided, not to get them because I didn't have any other Simpsons items. However, they looked neat. The pictures looked cool. But then a few months after they released, I saw them in stores, and I was really blown away by the size. They were huge. They were much bigger than I expected them to be. They're much larger than your average pop as well, which was very cool. And they really caught my eye. I didn't pick it up. It ended up selling, and then I always regretted it. So then I went on a hardcore search to actually get them. I found them for a price I was willing to pay, and I bought them, and I'm incredibly happy. They're huge pops. They have great detail. They're similar to Mysterio with the fact that they have a fully, sculpted head underneath a clear dome. The clear dome is incredibly see-through. It's not cloudy or anything like that. It's crystal clear, which is wonderful. And these just have wonderful designs. And speaking of glow-in-the-dark from my last choice, these two figures are all glow-in-the-dark as well. So I do enjoy that aspect of them, and they work quite nicely too. So overall, really cool, really unique pops that are awesome. And again, very unique. And with pops, it's always great to get a unique one, considering there's so many that come out, and these are certainly very unique. Alright, but before we say what my favorite pop of the year was, here are the honorable mentions, the ones that almost made it on this list. We had the Venomized Groot as well as Thanos, Deet from the Dark Crystal, Cruella de Vil in her car kind of ride pop. We've got the ride pop for the Matterhorn, the Disneyland pop, as well as the 10-inch, my first and only 10-inch pop, being Ursula from The Little Mermaid. So, wonderful pops. They all are really cool in their own way, and again, almost made it on this list. However, not quite on the list. However, they're certainly very close, and they're all great in their own way. Alright, and my favorite pop of the year has to be this movie moment, which is from the Aladdin original animated film, the Serpent Jafar versus Aladdin. This is a fantastic pop. We knew that there was an Aladdin box coming out as a Hot Topic exclusive. The last kind of Disney box that came out for Hot Topic included a movie moment of Captain Hook with TikTok, and I really love that. That was actually my favorite pop of last year, and therefore I had the slight hopes that it would be another villain as the movie moment. However, I didn't expect it to be. With the genie having so many memorable scenes and turning into so many things, I figured that the pop would be some sort of genie pop. I wasn't, but what my real hope was that the mystery mini would be the Serpent Jafar. That's what I was actually hoping for, or at least what I thought that I could expect, at least, or be realistic in hoping for. This was what I absolutely wanted, and I knew that I wanted it, but I didn't think it would happen, just because I again figured that they'd go with something a little more lighthearted, a little bit more genie focused for the box. So my surprise when the pop that I wanted the most was the pop in the box I was ecstatic, and not to mention that it was so perfect. It literally is the exact thing that I could want. This is the moment in the film where he's got Aladdin, wrapped up in his serpent, tail, and then him just looking over him, speaking to him, taunting him. Wonderful moment that they picked, and the execution of the pop is just wonderful. It's exactly what I want. It's an extremely heavy pop as well, and it just looks so good, so vicious, and it's the exact Serpent Jafar. Jafar is in my top 3 favorite Disney villains. I can't rank them, to be honest. He might be my favorite, but for the moment, he's at least in my top 3. And this is the version of him that I really enjoy, and there's just not much merchandise of this version of Jafar. So to get Pop or Funko to actually make a movie moment nonetheless of this is just wonderful. The only thing I could have wanted, and although this is technically more accurate, because when he is the Serpent Jafar and everything, and he does have him wrapped up, this is, kind of the floor that he's on. It's just a plain, kind of reddish tan floor. However, it would be really cool if he was just on a bunch of jewels, because there are a lot of jewels in his kind of treasure room when he becomes the most powerful sorcerer. So that would have been really cool as the base. Nonetheless, though, this is a fantastic pop, and absolutely, this was the easiest one to put on my list, and the position of it was the easiest as well. This is what I knew was going to be my number 1 pop of the year, because it's absolutely fantastic and 100% deserving my favorite pop of the year award. Alright, so there are my top 8 favorite Funko Pops of the year. We have a decent variety here. Obviously, Disney villains kind of taking the majority. However, those are the majority of the pops I buy, to be honest. I love Disney villains. So those are definitely front and center. You do have some Marvel villains also present, but then you have some interesting other ones, being the live action Jasmine, some Dark Crystal pops, and some Simpsons pops. So overall, really wonderful pops this year. There's just some great variety, lots of cool movie moments / deluxe type of pops and unique ones like that they haven't, that they're starting to do more and more, which is quite fun. So great pops this year. Let me know what you guys think of my choices for my favorite pops of the year. I'd love to hear what your guys' favorite ones are, and thanks so much for watching.